Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back. Today's story is all about your ABCs, but it's not just your regular ABCs. It's actually based on Black Canadian history. Today's book is called Big Dreamers, the Canadian Black History Activity Book for Kids. It's created by Akilah Newton and Tammy Gabay. Illustrations and designs by Daniel Morel Cox, and historian is Natasha Henry. A is for Anne Claire Coules. Senator Anne Claire Coules came to Canada in 1957 and attended McGill University. She was a strong student leader seeking equality. After moving to Toronto, she founded one of the first shelters to support women, children, and families. In 1984, she became the first Black senator in Canada, as well as the first female senator in all of North America. Senator Coules retired in 2018 and at the time was the longest serving member of the Senate. B is for Barbara Howard. Barbara was born in Vancouver, British Columbia on May 8, 1920. Champion Barbara Howard is thought to be the first Black female athlete representing Canada in an international competition. At the age of 17, she trained in sprinting, which is short distance running, and won 2 medals at the 1938 British Empire Games in Sydney, Australia. Barbara became the first person of color hired by the Vancouver School Board. She worked as an educator for 43 years, 14 of which were as a physical education teacher. In 2015, she was inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. C is for Carrie Best. Born in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, March 4, 1903, Maverick Carrie Best took a bold step in 1943 to confront racial segregation, meaning people were separated because of their race. She tried to watch a movie with her son at the Roseland Theatre in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia in the whites-only downstairs seating. Carrie was arrested and released. She sued the movie theater owner to challenge the racial discrimination Black customers faced, but Carrie lost and had to pay the theater owner's court costs. In 1946, she founded the Clarion, the first Black-owned and published newspaper in Nova Scotia. She worked as a journalist and wrote about the historically important Viola Davis's racial discrimination case at the same theater. In 1974, she received the Order of Canada, one of the nation's highest honors for outstanding achievement and service. D is for Donald H. Oliver, born in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, November 16, 1938. Justice defender Donald H. Oliver comes from an accomplished family. His grandfather was Reverend A. White, the chaplain for the segregated Black military unit, the No. 2 Construction Battalion in World War I, and his aunt was the beloved opera singer Portia White. In 1965, he became a lawyer and introduced laws in Nova Scotia to stop racial discrimination, which means to help stop the mistreatment of a person based on the color of their skin. He is best known for his work in promoting employment equality so that everyone is treated fairly at their jobs, no matter their race, gender, or religion. He was appointed a senator in 1990 and served until 2013. E is for Elijah McCoy. Born in Calchester, Ontario on May 2, 1844. Genius Elijah McCoy can attribute part of his drive to his parents, former slaves from Kentucky who escaped to Canada to live in freedom. At the age of 15, Elijah had the opportunity to go to Scotland, where he studied mechanical engineering. Upon returning, he reunited with his family, who had moved to Michigan. He became a fireman on the Michigan Central Railroad, shoveling coal into the firebox of trains. Elijah was inspired to develop inventions for steam engines, to use less coal and to move faster using oil lubrication. In 1872, he was issued a patent for his first invention, the oil drip cup. It was nicknamed the Real McCoy. meaning the real thing, after many bad copies popped up. He went on to establish the Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company, held 57 patents for inventions and innovations, including the first folding ironing table and lawn sprinkler. F is for Ferguson Arthur Jenkins, born in Chatham, Ontario on December 13, 1943. Competitor Ferguson Arthur Jenkins was an outstanding athlete in 3 sports, including basketball, baseball, and hockey. Nicknamed Fergie, he was a member of the famous all-African American basketball team, the Harlem Globetrotters, and played professional baseball. In 1966, Ferguson became a pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. He was known for striking out players. Ferguson retired in 1983 as a legend and as one of the best pitchers ever to play the game. The National Baseball Hall of Fame inducted him in 1991, becoming the first Canadian to be included. G is for Gloria Leon Bayless, born in Bridgetown, Barbados on June 29, 1929. Noble Gloria Leon Bayless was a trained nurse and midwife. She moved to Canada in 1952, but was denied work because of her race. In 1965, she filed Canada's first employment racial discrimination case, meaning she wasn't treated as an equal because of the color of her skin. After a 12-year fight, Gloria finally won her case, the first successful human rights case in Quebec. In 1983, she founded the Bayless Medical Company, which grew to become a world leader in the development of medical devices for the heart and spine. Gloria's legacy continues with her 4 successful children. H is for Harriet Tubman, born in Dorchester County, United States in 1820. Freedom fighter Harriet Tubman was born on a plantation into slavery with the name Araminta Ross and later changed it to Harriet. She experienced inhumane treatment until she escaped in 1849. Harriet returned to the South many times for daring rescues of family members and enslaved blacks, leading over 70 people to freedom. She was part of a secret network of people and routes known as the Underground Railroad, and is the most famous conductor, who guided many to the U.S. North and to Canada. Harriet lived in St. Catharines, Ontario from 1851 to 1861 and was a very respected member of the community. Once the U.S. Civil War broke out, she returned to the United States and became a great spy for the Union Army. After the war ended, she returned to New York to care for her parents and continued to shine a light on racial equality or racial inequality. I is for Isaac Phills, born in St. Vincent, West Indies on January 11, 1896. Determined, Isaac Phills, despite being born into poverty, worked hard to become a trained agriculturist. In 1916, he moved to Canada, but couldn't find farming positions, so he worked in the same steel plant for 45 years. During World War I, Isaac served in the No. 2 Construction Battalion, Canada's only all-black segregated military unit during the war. Early in the war, recruiters turned away black applicants because of racial discrimination. Protests and a need for more soldiers resulted in the unit's formation. In 1967, Isaac became the first Black Canadian to receive the Order of Canada for his service to his country, community, and family. He still inspires young people to remember that the future is what an individual makes of it in spite of hardships. J is for Jean Augustine, born in St. George's, Grenada on September 8, 1937. Pioneering, Jean Augustine was the first Black woman to be elected to the House of Commons in 1993 and served in the federal cabinet. On the night of her win, she famously said, "I ran as a competent woman who is Canadian." Jean arrived in Canada in 1960. She is responsible for the act that made February recognized as Black History Month in Canada. That law passed in 1995 with a 300-0 vote. She is also the founder of the Toronto chapter of the Congress of Black Women of Canada. Before going into politics, she worked as an elementary school teacher, moving up to become a principal in Toronto's public school system. She received the Order of Canada in 2009 for her service. K is for Kay Livingstone, born in London, Ontario on October 13, 1919. Gifted Kay Livingstone was considered one of Canada's leading Black actresses while devoting her life to help get equality for Black women and men. Faced with a great deal of unfair treatment, Kay was a founding member of the Canadian Negro Women's Association. She was the first person to use the term visible minority, and her efforts led to the first National Black Women's Congress in 1973. Passionate about the arts, she was one of the original organizers of Caravana, Toronto Caribbean Carnival. In 2018, she was featured on a Canadian stamp and honored with a plaque. L is for Lincoln Alexander, born in Toronto, Ontario on January 21st, 1922. Unstoppable Lincoln Alexander was the son of West Indian parents and strongly influenced by his mother's belief in the power of education. In 1953, Lincoln became a lawyer and joined a practice in Hamilton, Ontario, that was the first interracial law firm in Canada. Interracial means it was the first group of lawyers from different racial backgrounds working together. He became the first Black member of Parliament in 1968 and was later appointed to cabinet. After leaving politics in 1985, he was chosen to be the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, the first Black Canadian to be in an official position representing the British monarchy. Throughout his life, he encouraged countless young people to pursue their dreams. His legacy was recognized in 2018 with the Canadian stamp. To honor and celebrate his achievements yearly, Parliament proclaimed January 21st as Lincoln Alexander Day. M is for Mary Ann Shadd Cary, born in Wilmington, Delaware, United States on October 9, 1823. Multi-talented Mary Ann Shadd Cary was born a free woman to Black activists and educated in the U.S. Her parents moved their family to Canada in protest to a law requiring captured runaway slaves to be returned to enslavement, including in free states. She first settled in Windsor, Ontario, and pushed for equality and ran an interracial school that was eventually closed. The family moved to Buxton, Ontario. Her father became the first Black man elected to public office in Canada. Mary became the first female newspaper owner and editor in North America when she launched Toronto's Provincial Freeman in 1853. The newspaper strongly supported racial and gender equality. She became a neutralized British subject in Canada. However, she returned to the U.S. to lecture about anti-slavery and equality for women. She attended law school at Howard University and became one of the first Black female lawyers in the United States. Letters A through M has been completed, and on the next video we will do letters N through Z. Thanks for watching.